Welcome to Unapologetically Fly, the podcast dedicated to giving you the tools, inspiration, and information you need to finally live for yourself, no matter the age, situation, or circumstance. I'm your host, Renee Mitchell-Simpson, the self-love and happiness coach and founder of Well Diva Lifestyle and Travel, the premier luxury wellness travel sisterhood for the flyest of aunties. Now get ready to ride along on my journey of reinvention, even at this big age, because sis, I need you to know it truly is never too late to fly. And by fly, I mean finally live for yourself. All right, y'all. So I have a very special guest, another very, very special guest. This is my cousin. Last time I said it was my cousin, and it was my cousin for real. But I have a lot of cousins. That was my cousin Kenya on my mother's side. This is my cousin Val on my father's side. And Val, also known as Valicia, I want to call you Mitchell, but
I'll always be Mitchell.
But Valicia Beecham is a registered nurse and nurse practitioner, right? Mm-hmm. And she's been in the nursing field for over 30 years. And so today we're going to talk about alternative careers for nurses, because I know nurses, y'all make good money doing bedside, but I know that some of you, or probably a lot of you, want to get away from that. And so Val you've done some speaking. Did you do a book on that as well?
Yeah, I did a book back in the day.
She's written a book. She wrote the book on how to get away from bedside nursing. So let's talk about some of these lucrative opportunities.
Absolutely. It trends. Everything changes. I spent a bulk of my time doing travel and teaching. Right now, what's trending is remote positions, because after COVID, everybody was kind of at home,
right?
And there's so many positions that were always office positions that became remote positions. Hey, I got your computer here, go back home. Some of those positions include nursing informatics, working with the computers, the computer systems. All of our charting is computerized at this time, so they centralize it so that they can analyze the data much more quickly and supposedly securely.
Okay.
A lot of the insurance companies hire nurses to look at their records as well, either for utilization review to decide, okay, this patient needs this, or okay, this is fluff, let's cut this. And so we look at the medical records. I've done this. We look at the medical records that the physician's office or the PA or the PT office provides to us, and we or the doctor, refer it to the doctor, decide, hey, this person really needs this, or hey, you don't really need this, let's try this alternative to keep the budget within, normal range.
Yeah. Okay. So what's the money like?
Yes, the monies.
In these different type of positions.
I would say most start mid to high 60s, and you can ramp up. I mean, if you really want to make the money, go for the more techie type positions. AI. Everybody's talking about AI. We're afraid of it, but we need to educate ourselves on it, because guess what? In China, they are making hospitals that are straight AI. You need to know it. So if you're going to still be on the train, you need to learn how to program it, because you have the knowledge, you have the critical skills. Nurses have an amazing skill set, amazing to pivot to anything they want to do, actually. And critical thinking is a rare thing. With nursing, you have to have it, period. Someone's life depends on it.
Right.
So programming AI, getting facilitating or getting familiar with some of the more techie, there are a lot of tech startups that need nurses. They're paying 6 figures easy. easy to start.
So what knowledge do you need in AI for that?
You can get all kinds of easy certifications. I know Coursera has several certifications. I'm in Florida, so University of Central Florida has a couple of certifications for AI, just to familiarize yourself with it, to see the inner workings. There are a lot of online offerings for AI. So look around, see, you're going to have to do a little bit of research, but it's everywhere. And that's the direction everything's going. So be in the train or before the train, not behind the train.
Right. So a certification is like what, just a few weeks, months?
It could be 2 weeks. It could be 6 months. It could be a year. It depends on what you want to do with it. But the programming of the AI, I'm not saying learn computer programming. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is get in with the techie guys who know nothing about healthcare, that want to make that healthcare money and say, hey, in my environment, this is how we do it. And they turn that knowledge of you telling them, in my environment, this is how we do it, into, oh, this is how I need to program AI to facilitate, help you do it, or, do it independently.
Okay, so you've got an extensive career as a travel nurse.
Absolutely, yes.
And so y'all know we love travel.
So do I.
So tell me, how does somebody get into that?
Oh, that's a piece of cake.
Okay.
There are so many agencies that do travel for nurses. Just go online and Google it, and you will see a plethora. Now, the caveat to that is who pays the most.
Okay.
Because our time is, you don't shortchange yourself.
Yeah.
So what I did when I first started, someone had told me about a certain agency, and I had gone on a strike nursing, which was and is, very lucrative. And that's how I learned the ropes back in 2000. So now the pricing or the pay isn't what I'm accustomed to, especially after COVID and all these things. But I say shop around, do your due diligence, and do not shortchange yourself. Do not. Is it worth you leaving your house? Now, everyone isn't money driven. Some people just want an adventure. Then do that. Some people will say, hey, I want to go on an Indian reservation. A couple of summers ago, I went to Barrow, Alaska, which is like the absolute tip of North America on the Arctic Ocean, okay?
Well, was it a good experience?
It was different. It was a good experience.
Don't sound like no adventure to me.
It was an adventure. Like, I flew in on like June 2nd and it was 36 degrees.
Right.
But I can't say that's a bad thing. I did a polar plunge.
Okay, well, you had fun.
Yeah, I mean, you can make, and as you know, Miss Well Diva, you can make any situation your situation and do with it what you want to do with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I woke up one morning and the place is very isolated.
Okay.
Very isolated. And I woke up one morning and, I was getting ready to call my husband, whatever. And there was no service on either of my phones. And then I find out, the fiber optics at the bottom of the Arctic
frozen.
Ocean for AT&T got cut. And I'm like, what are you cutting me off from civilization for real, for real? Are you serious? I need help right now.
Yeah.
So I feel like those types of things just give you more fortitude and grit.
Yeah.
You got to build that muscle. You have to.
So if someone was watching and they're a nurse and they're thinking about getting into travel nursing, what's the down part? What's the part that, you didn't know until you got in and started doing it?
Gosh, I think the learning curve, because you can do one thing 20 different ways. So a lot of new nurses want to get into it, but I say at least have a year or two under your belt so that you know your basics.
Okay.
Because they're not going to give you slack. They are not. And sometimes they resent you being there, even though you're there to help them. So know what you're doing. First of all, don't fake the funk. Yeah. Please don't fake the funk. Because, these are people's lives we're dealing
right.
with. So be a master at your craft. Be a master of what you do. You don't have to know everything. We're always evolving.
Yeah.
Nursing, the standards, always changing. But know what you're doing. Have your skill set on point. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Find that resource. Use that resource.
Yeah.
And I feel what nursing did for me, it gave me what I call an eagle's eye view. Because even though there's one standard, there are multiple ways to execute that standard. And when you learn multiple ways to do something, you can come at that thing any way you want to.
Right.
And people see that, and they see that you're a master at your craft. So, yeah.
Okay. Something I keep hearing when I watch some of these little crazy shows, sometimes I'll look at the Pop the Balloon or something else I was looking at recently, and they talk about, and I never heard you mention this, how travel nurses and the doctors are all sleeping together. Do you just stay out of that loop, or do you know this? Out of that loop. Okay. I
am the biggest square.
So you don't know anything about all that. Okay.
Now you hear stuff. But I keep my head down.
Yeah. I figured that.
Drama. That's not my.
Because you had mentioned it,
and we talk about everything.
Yeah. But every time on that show, Pop the Balloon, every time somebody says she's a travel nurse, they God. Nah, that's okay.
I'm sad that we have that reputation.
It's
because
bad.
I know that doesn't apply to me. But
girl, it is so bad.
Oh my! I did see something about that the other day, and I just kind of glazed across. I was like, okay, why?
Yeah, girl, it's bad. But I always say, to each his own. If you're out there,
honestly, you know how I am. I just keep it professional.
Yeah. Well, they say the same thing about truck drivers. It's as soon as you
meet the same thing about cops.
Well, it might be true. It's probably true.
Oh my God.
Well, I always say to each his own. If that's what you want to do, that's your business.
Pay your hazard insurance.
Look, but that brings me to my next topic is alternative careers, period. And you and I have been kind of, not just me and you, but me and some of my other girlfriends. Have been talking about this foot business.
Right. Taking pics, foot pics.
Selling feet pics. And people really just seem to think there's something wrong with it.
Really? I've never seen feet as an intimate thing. And I think people think it's an intimate thing. But I do know, my husband's very, conservative for the most part. Okay. And going to church, don't wear sandals showing your toes.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So I didn't even know that was a thing.
I never heard of that.
Who's going to be, my mind is, who's going to be looking at my feet?
The men with a foot fetish.
Who's looking at my toes?
Oh my
who cares?
Goodness.
Oh no, wear closed-toe shoes. I know he comes from a conservative religious background or whatever, but I've worn sandals to, high heel sandals that weren't enclosed before, but in reading and researching that particular genre or avenue, people do have some serious foot fetishes, but they have fetishes for hands. They have fetishes for noses.
Yeah, the thing is, people treat, I don't even know what it's called, the feet pic business. Like it's a sexual business or like it's something wrong with it when, I guess I know there are some people on the other end, on the receiving end that might be doing some weird stuff to your foot pics.
My business.
But the thing is, like you said, it could be looked at as parts modeling Or,
Right.
I mean, you could be walking down the street and somebody's taking your picture for free and you don't know what they're doing with that picture. So you might as well get paid
Hand them
for
an invoice.
it.
Hand them
Right.
an
Like,
invoice.
you might as well get paid. So we have been kind of
Kicking
giggling
around.
about it.
Right.
But are you thinking of doing it for real?
Yeah. I mean, I was reading somebody's ebook and she was just saying the types of clients, the types of pics, how to know, and I hadn't thought of this at all, how to know if somebody's a fake client. I don't know what a fake client is. I guess people fake and then they run away with the pic and don't pay or something.
Oh.
How to avoid that type of thing. She was talking about some of the things that she's done, like, oh yeah, I just made $200 for pouring syrup on my toes.
I've heard that one.
You know, I was like, what?
Child.
Syrup.
I mean, hey, I got some syrup.
Some Cool Whip and a cherry on top on the big toe. What are we saying here?
You know, I had a picture on a dating site, and I am often barefoot. And I had a couple of my pictures, I was barefoot, and this guy messaged me and said something about my feet. I think he said, you have nice feet.
Okay.
And then he said something else. And like, I hope you don't mind, I really like your feet. Like, he kept coming back about my feet, and I just ended up blocking him because I'm like,
you're a weirdo.
I'm like, you need to pay if you're gonna be doing all this. But anyway, but yeah, we have been really giggling about this whole foot thing, but now we kind of trying to get serious and we can stop laughing.
I mean, if you're making $1,000 in a day and you don't have to wipe somebody's behind,
okay,
or suction somebody's trach.
So it's another alternative career for nurses. So how much they making,
as long as
girl?
your feet aren't busted up.
Girl, look, how much they making?
Shoot, I mean, according to this person, the simple things are $50-$100. But you know, some syrup and Cool Whip with a cherry on top, it might be $250 to $500.
Shoot, I got some syrup.
I mean, she's walking around here, and she was a nurse. This person,
what?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't remember her name. I would say it, but I honestly don't. But she was saying, "Oh yeah, I already made," and she was showing the receipts.
See,
you know, $1,200 in a day.
I have taken good care of my feet.
Yes, ma'am. That Monday pedicure does not miss me. That pumice stone is my best friend.
But now look, also though, it doesn't have to be, you said as long as your feet aren't busted up. There are people who like calluses.
Well, that's true too. They want to watch you do the thing on your calluses or whatever. And then she was saying they like, some people like texture. So if you have certain wrinkles on the bottom of your feet in your arch or something, and I was like,
I got all that. But yeah, some of them like fat toes.
Yes, she had fat toes. She goes, "Oh, I know you're probably looking at my feet. My toes are fat." And I'm like, yeah, they are. But
so we're assuming that the foot has to look a certain way, but
that's true. Maybe
they like fat feet. Yeah, they want the calluses.
It depends, I guess, on the person. I don't know that audience. I'm not an aficionado. I'm just like dabbling and reading the book and stuff. But why not?
So cousins' feet.
Yeah,
we could probably do something with that concept.
I mean, they'll definitely.
We're gonna have to figure this out. Yeah, we're gonna have to figure this out. Okay, cousin. So you make all this money as a nurse or selling feet pics or whatever, and at some point you want to stop doing this hustle or this work or this, this passion project, whatever. At some point you want to just chill. So how do we prepare for that? I know that's another area that you're really good at, and that's managing money and investing.
To have your money on because, this is not a thing you can just keep doing.
Right.
Even if you want to be at bedside, at some point your body's like, yo, it's time to rest.
Yeah.
So you really can't take for granted in your 30s that this is what you're going to keep doing.
Yeah.
So you need to prepare even then. Have some kind of roadmap. What is your goal to phase out of it.
Right. So with my audience being mostly 50 and up,
Okay.
and say you have not been saving and investing and whatever, and at this point, say you're 50 and you want to get started.
I would say start with an IUL, which is an index universal life insurance, and make sure you up front load it, which means you monetize it not for your quote unquote demise, but to use that money in life. So if you were to do, and I think nurses could handle $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month, putting it into a front loaded IUL, they could use that money for retirement pretty easily.
Yeah.
A little bit on the risky side if you wanted to do stocks. And you don't always have to do an American stock exchange. I heard the Jamaican stock exchange was quite aggressive and quite lucrative as well. So that takes a little bit more research, but there are quite a few resources to learn. Like Terry Igioma is amazing teaching stock investing.
What is it again?
Her name is Terry, T-E-R-I.
Somebody's name.
Igioma, yeah. She's an Wall Street trapper. He's an amazing investor as well. So those two, I've used them and I've done well with them, learning from them.
Yeah.
There was a guy, Tay Sweat. I don't think he's teaching that much anymore, but phenomenal. So using a little, and don't be afraid to lose a little to gain a little. Just like if you do a business, you have to invest, and it's going to take you a minute. Just like with nursing, if you're learning how to do an IV, it's going to take a few sticks. You know what I mean? And somebody might be like a little bit upset with you when you don't get it the first time.
Right.
But we have to be a little bit more gentle with ourselves when it comes to learning curves.
Yeah.
So IULs, the stock exchange. I like crypto. I've done a little bit with crypto. I did well with Bitcoin, but I think I sold it too early. But like I said, all of these things are learning curves. Know where you're putting your money. You're not going to be a professional, but there are resources that can let you know, hey, this is a good investment. And cost average, I'm going to put $200 a month. I'm going to put $500 a month, $1,000, $1,500 a month, and cost average, and not feel like you have to front load it, because you'd be amazed what you can do in a couple of years with those avenues.
Yeah, I was going to say, like starting at 50, you shouldn't feel like, oh, it's too late or whatever.
It's not. It is not, but you have to be consistent and you have to be disciplined, because you kind of on the other side of the curve.
Yeah.
So you want to, taper off of trading your time for money into using your money to enjoy your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, set some goals, set some times, and do a little bit of research. And I think anybody could kind of catch up and not have to be a slave to a career.
Right.
So to speak.
Yeah, because at some point, you want to chill.
Right. Right. Exactly.
It makes me think about, I saw, I can't think who it was. It wasn't Cher, but somebody like that. Still touring and performing.
She's 70, whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It wasn't her though. It was somebody else. But somebody was like, oh, she's still enjoying her career. And I'm like, probably not. She's probably still has to do that.
Yeah.
It was a black artist. Because that they dogged us out with bad
those
contracts.
Yeah.
I can't remember who. It might have been Gladys Knight.
Just prepare.
I think it was Gladys Knight. But yeah, in that industry, it's like I don't know if they didn't, manage their money right, or if they were just dogged out.
Right.
But
that happens.
Yeah, people in their 70s are probably not wanting to continue.
They just wanna chill.
And then we don't know. We ain't been in our 70s.
Right.
But how we know? They may want to keep doing what they're doing. But I would imagine if you do,
Right.
you just want to do it part-time.
Right. And you want to be in control of your time.
Right.
You don't want to
right.
say, oh, I have to clock in for
No.
blah, blah, blah. You want to be in control of your time. And I think also with your venue and travel, people get to see the American way is not the only way.
Honey.
And, you can go to other countries, as you know, and buy a house
Yeah.
and chill. I have a friend that is my friend Eliza. She lives in Sierra Leone. She's from Sierra Leone. And she came over, her daughter just graduated from med school. And I said, hey girl, are you still here in the States? She goes, oh, I'm going back home because if you're in America, you got to work. And that's sad because, we've kind of fed into that we have to work all the time instead of more of what you say, the soft life.
Right.
Enjoying your life. Are you doing something you really want to do and you love?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't want to run so hard, run so fast for someone else that you arrive or you feel like you arrive or you slow down and you're like, oh, gee, what am I doing? Right. Be intentional the entire course.
Yeah. And we're talking about alternative careers now. I'm starting to get into TikTok.
Yeah, I know about
it's a lot of money in TikTok. So, and I put my video on the podcast last week where it just went viral, where I am rapping. I'm laughing because I'm like, okay, me rapping, okay. I'm like, I'm just going with the flow.
Right.
If that's what y'all want and that's going to end up being something that actually I can monetize, why not?
Right. I mean, yeah. I agree because when you sent it to me, I was like, okay, I can't do that, okay, but
it's funny because I don't know if I told on here when I did that episode where I uploaded the video how that came about, but the song by Glorilla, I liked the song. I really liked the song to the point where I was learning the words and I was like, I'm gonna go do this in karaoke. And I was learning the words and as you keep repeating the words, it starts to get in your spirit. So I stopped. I was like, wait a minute, what am I learning here? Hold up.
What am I manifesting?
That's not what I want for myself. So if I'm going to repeat something, then it needs to be something that I would be okay if that's if I manifested that.
Right.
So that's how that came about, changing those words. And it's like, who thought at 50 something I would become a rapper? But hey, I will gladly do it if somebody want to pay me for it. I am not lying.
For real.
So, girl, but yeah, alternative careers, honey. Yes. But girl, there are so many alternative careers now, and with the internet, it's just like
don't limit yourself.
Yes.
I mean, don't. Oh, I'm too old. No, you're not.
That's another thing.
Age is a number. Don't be intimidated by a number. Because
it's how you feel.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time. I'm like, okay, I know what my number is, but it doesn't really
We
match.
don't feel like it, no.
The chronological age doesn't match what I feel my biological age is at all. It's probably like, I'm really like half of what.
Yeah, I think I'm about, I feel like I'm 35. Yeah. I feel about 35.
You know what? One of my best years was 40. Oh my God. I celebrated my birthday every week for a year.
Yeah.
When I turned 40. And the girls are like, Mommy. I'm
just like, over it.
Fabulous. Don't be mad because of the fabulosity.
Yes. Girl.
Live your life. Enjoy it. Because you're not, as a nurse, they can walk in and not walk out. I think people need to really think about that.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. And as a nurse, you probably have, I'm guessing maybe you've heard people talk about regrets or.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And families as well. Something you're mad at you can't even remember the details of, and you're carrying that thing around like stinking groceries.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, we gotta live like there is no tomorrow. It's not
Right.
promised. So
No, it's
hey.
not. And we take it for granted every day. Even younger people, you just can't.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're all about that soft life,
Oh, yeah.
loving life, doing what you want to do with your life.
Absolutely.
And that's what all of this will help
Absolutely.
you pave the pathway to wherever you want to go. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Now be sure to like, subscribe, share with your besties, and tell me what topics would you like more of in the comments below, so I know I'm not just sitting here talking to myself. I also invite you to join me in the Well Divas on one of our unapologetically fly wellness travel experiences. Visit welldiva.com and select someplace wonderful to meet up with us. Until next time, stay unapologetically fly.